Chapter 17. He grunts as his eyes flicker awake. He takes his shaky arm and pushes himself against the black dirt. A sound of rattles and squirming are beneath him. He screams upon making eye contact. A pile of rotting human bones, covered in large grotesque bugs, surround him. He jumps up, furiously swiping his hands against his dirty gi, sick to his stomach. They scatter and burrow into the dirt, leaving him isolated in silence. Cautious of his surroundings, he snaps his head around to find a graveyard of the fallen, some of the bones far older than others. However, his sight is cut short, for a thick, dark miasma encircles him. Curious, he sticks his hand in with haste. Just as fast, he removes it to find nothing else strange about it. He calls out, "Fedir!" The shuffling of bones approaches him. "Isamu!" From the black fog, Fedir, covered in dirt, sighs with relief. "Thank the goddess you're alive." His eyes water with tears, and his hands shake with anxiety. "Hey, hold yourself together," Isamu said, keeping his friend steady. "You were covered in this black thick liquid and I tried to heal you, but my magic wouldn't work. I tried removing the sludge off your body in hopes it would help." What he went through sounds horrifying, finding your friend, who you presume is dead, covered in waste, and your greatest skill null. It must be due to the miasma, as there is no doubt Fedir is the first healer to fall into the depths of the desert. Fedir looks ready to pass out at any moment. Isamu already has his psyche broken, his arm shakes, and his soul feels detached from his body, trying to escape without him. The others always looked up to Isamu, as he is the oldest, for guidance, and while the circumstances drastic compared to anything in the past, now was not the time to drop tradition. "Well, it worked, didn't it?" he smirked. "We have to remain calm and get out of here. Hotaru and Aziza are waiting for us. Just stay close to me. Please get us out of here," he whimpered. No different to how he used to act when they first met several years ago. Fedir hangs extremely close to Isamu's back while he marches forth into the heavy fog. Each small step crunches, making him nervous. His sight is impaired, with only the sounds of dirt and bones letting him know he is making contact with the floor. Endlessly they travel, remaining quiet to not alert any disturbing beasts that may lie in this graveyard. As Isamu helplessly scans the area, he halts in place. Fedir bumps him as he stops. "Why have we stopped?" he whispered, peeking his head over his grimy shoulder. In the short distance, piercing through the black fog, is a hopeful glimmer of light. As if they can read each other's mind, they step over to the glowing light, believing it to be an exit from this hell. The dirt below becomes dusty stone, and through the miasma reveals walls that surrounds them. They reach the golden light to spot an ancient sarcophagus. "Someone was buried here?" Fedir muttered. "It must have been someone important, because look what they left behind." Isamu points out a golden claw, similar to his iron one. Despite everything being covered in dirt or insects, the claw remains in mint condition, its golden sheen able to pierce through the miasma. Isamu reaches his hand out. The gleam produced by each sharp and long nail calls to him. "What are you doing? We don't know where we are going. We can make this into a makeshift torch for the time being." As he steps forward, his foot sinks down, pushing the stone tile. A grueling sound rumbles throughout the air, and several more soon follow. "What was that?" "Dozens of them are behind us," Fedir said, strangely calm. "They are approaching rapidly." They spin around with Fedir's back against the sarcophagus. Several pairs of yellow eyes greet them. The groans of death increase. A foul stench soils the miasma. A black hand, covered with dirty bandages, reaches out from the fog. "Looks like we don't have much of a choice now," Isamu said, reaching behind to grab the golden claw. He equips it and places its glimmering nails in front of his face. From the only path forward, corpses by the dozens arise from the ground, slowly closing in, with Fedir white as a sheet, loudly praying to the goddess. Isamu smirks as he places his iron claw on the other hand. He dings the claws together like a bell in a boxing ring, stanced like a clawed beast in the wild. I won't fall for the same trick twice, he told himself, itching for a fight. No longer fear consumed him. Now was the time for redemption. He lunges forward with both claws forward. He strikes one in the abdomen, and with it tumbling back, a black smoke spews out. However, he spins around the mummy, kicking it face down into the ground. He continues his clean streak of slashing them apart and avoiding their noxious gas, carving a path forward. Hurry, Fedir, he ordered, leading the charge against the endless wave of undead. Though his plan is masterclass and execution is perfect, more erupts from the plentiful dirt. Soon his determination would run dry. Another plan had to be formulated to escape the endless horde. They just don't know when to quit, he shouted, impaling the golden claw into a mummy's forehead before severing it completely off its torso as he spins behind it. The graveyard quakes as if a massive earthquake struck. From the miasma, black shadows with red, piercing eyes emerge. He lunges his claw forward, only to phase through the ghost. What? It retaliates with a swipe of its black claw against his forearm. He screams in pain as he falls back, staring at the black miasma pouring out from his wound. Several more swarm them, their retreat thwarted by a nearby stone wall. The path ahead is blocked by more bandaged monsters, but Isamu's arm goes numb and limp. He puts on a brave face for Fedir, but his ideas run thin as the infection runs up his arm and into his shoulder at a rapid pace. I can't give up now. Not while Hotaru needs me. Within the center of the black abyss, a blue gentle light swarms Fedir. What happened? He gasps, looking over to him. Unlike before, the once terrified man of the cloth has changed. He takes the charge with eyes furrowed, his sturdy hands gripping onto his wooden staff. He swipes his staff in front of him like a sword, and from out the tip, a swirling torrent of wind erupts. The wind's turbulence floods the room, blowing away the encroaching shadows and miasma. Even Isamu's arm is relieved of its wound. Left in its place is the path ahead to a spiraling stairwell where more mummies block the path. Isamu flexes his arm, free from the curse. Good work, Fedir. About time you start pulling your weight. Now let's get out of here. Together as an unstoppable force, they plow through the frail line of defense, with brutal slashes and blazing fire, reaching the stairs with ease. They dart up in a full sprint as the walls of the stairs quickly close in. A warm light awaits them at the top, and with a final push, they jump to safety as the stairs close off, crushing the remaining monsters that tail them. With the chaos behind them, Fedir falls to the clean, lumpy ground below, heavily breathing, covered in sweat. Isamu places his palms to his knees, leaning his head down in the same condition. He wants to cry out in victory, but his lungs are at its end. Let's never do that again, Fedir spits out. Agreed. But why did you wait so long before you started helping? Did you forget our lives were at stake? I swear, I couldn't use magic before that. It must have been a divine intervention from the goddess. Isamu had little faith in the goddess. From the monsters that wandered her land down to the unholy beings they just fought. How could there be a goddess? The only intervention from so-called faith was taken in action by the individual, is what Isamu grew to believe through years of his training. It always is the goddess with you. You need to start taking credit for your own achievements. We did that. No one else. You wouldn't get it. For now, I'm just glad we can rest easy. Isamu raises his head and pauses for a moment. I wouldn't be sure about that. And why's that? Fedir lifts his head to be caught in bewilderment as Isamu has. A massive room filled with bountiful treasures await them. The floor is covered in shimmering coins. The walls shine like the sun. Chests of solid gold are opened and filled with shining swords, armor, and gemstones. At the end of the room is a textured, decrepit mural with a tiny wall-mounted purple key, hung poorly, nearly dropping to the floor, with a thin, large ribbon attached together to a unique set of spikes in the shape of a dream catcher at its center. Fedir looks down to where he rested his head to find coins scattered along the entrance. "This must be the Great Pyramid," Fedir said, lifting himself to his feet. "If that's the case, then that must be our magic key," Isamu points out, taking a cautious step towards the wall-mounted key. "That's strange, though," Fedir wondered. "If the key was always there, then why is its mouth far larger? Hey, make sure not to grab anything else. I already learned my mistake, though explaining this to Aziza will probably be worse than any punishment this place can drop on us." He carefully steps through the coins, planting his foot softly to not trigger any more traps. Near the wall, he gets a clearer picture of the mural, though covered by ancient dust. It appears to resemble a world map. However, the locations are slightly different, with their home of Aliahan not present. The world map consists of 5 separate large land masses, with 6 marked locations scattered among the map. While he can stand there and attempt to decipher its meaning, the thought of more monsters on the way has him short on time. He reaches the dangling key at the bottom of the mural, and with a steady hand, he removes it from its mount, untying the ribbon from its bow, tempted to slash it away as it takes a few tries. He looks back and waves the key. "Alright, now with that out of the way, let's get out of here." "Who dares pillage my tomb and disturb my slumber?" a sinister, disembodied voice echoed. From the wall of the key, a cloud of black miasma forms, and inside is a large skull with red, fiery eyes. Unlike the miasma of the graveyard, the skull is covered in a black fire, appearing like a gateway to the underworld. The mouth of the skull opens to reveal a golden flame as it speaks. "Are you the one who has stolen my sacred treasure?" "Yes, I am," he responds, standing still with pride. "We need this key to open the pathway to Ortega, and I will see to it that I succeed in my mission." Despite his proud voice, the back of his legs is shaking with fear. He nervously stares into the chaotic eyes of the enormous spirit. The stare down they have is an intense power of dominance as they both stand their ground. "Why did I say that?" he thought. He looks to the golden claw. Its immense power against monsters have him far more confident against danger. The mouth closes, and suddenly a surprisingly lightened voice emerges from the skull. "Wow, you sure are honest, aren't you? Well, take it then, as long as you keep up that right attitude." "Huh? You're serious?" Isamu spews out with his guard completely dropping, occasionally looking back at Fedir, who was also just as starstruck. "Sure, but are you certain that key is all you want? I got treasures that will have you set for a lifetime, as well as your kids, your grandkids. I mean, that key really isn't anything. You should have seen the last item. I'll tell you what, those pirates sure took my red orb without a second thought in exchange for that key. I was shaking in my boots from the way they exchanged the two. I was too scared to call off their offer." "I would like to keep the claw," Isamu added, holding up his hand that's equipped with the golden claw. "Now that is something more akin to what a thief would take. However, I have one condition before you can. In place of the key and claw, you must leave something in its place. Anything works as long as I deem it worthy. Anything you present that I deem unworthy, you die." The spirit laughs with glee, despite Isamu being indifferent to his threat. If pirates raided this place before and exchanged the key, then how would Grandma know it was here? Was Grandma a pirate? I swear she has more hidden about her than she lets on, and it doesn't help that she is cryptic with her words. All I can do is ask her when I get the chance. Isamu looks back to Fedir, who is frantically checking his pockets like a poor merchant getting robbed. Isamu ponders for a brief moment before an idea strikes him. He takes a moment to clear his throat and present his sail like a businessman. He raises his other hand. How about this iron claw? Sure, it isn't as shiny, but it once belonged to a martial artist of ancient times, a man who had the strength to knock the head of a bear clean off. The skull leans in, glaring at the claw. Sounds interesting. However, I got a better idea. I don't care where or who that claw belongs to, but the thought of the golden claw becoming an iron claw for the next raider sounds hilarious. I mean, the look on his face as he pleads for his rewards as he approaches death's door. Now that is something I have to see. We have a deal. Place the claw on the mount, and everything will once again be right in the world. Isamu places the claw onto the mount, shoving it between the maze-like ribbons, and though it's slanted and looks off, ready to fall at a slight disturbance, the spirit encourages him to leave it that way. Please forgive me for leaving your claw behind, he thought, as if the legendary martial artist would pop out of nowhere like this confusing spirit. Fedir steps up to Isamu and they stand shoulder to shoulder. Now, how do we get out? Oh, I know, the cheery voice answered. A snap echoes and the floor below them opens. They fall onto a slippery slide of gold coins, and the disembodied voice laughs hysterically. As the spirit's laugh increases, so does their speed. They scream in terror as they hold each other tightly, before a wall of light to the outside world blinds them. They're launched onto the warm sand in front of the pyramid, and the slide before them closes. The warm light from the morning sun, thankfully, isn't as scorching as they lay in the sand, exhausted, thirsty, but relieved. They take a moment to rest, snoozing onto the comforting sand like a heated blanket, but the silence of the desert is disturbed by hoofbeats closing in. As something stops in front of them, a soft step approaches them. Isamu lifts his head, and his heart sinks into his stomach. His jaw drops to the sand, and his pupils widen. Such beauty stands before him. A dark-skinned woman with glowing skin reflecting off the sun she is blocking. Her armor shimmers white and gold, and her brown eyes gaze upon them with a heart-skipping smile. He shakes Fedir as he groans into the sand. Fedir, you were right. The heavens are real, and the goddess stands before us. He pauses his excitement for a moment. Someone by her side runs forward. And Aziza is here too? Isamu! Fedir! Aziza shouted with worry, managing to lift the two with ease, gripping them together like a bear trap. I was so worried about you guys. I'm so glad you're safe. They don't respond, holding still like statues, their eyes looking past her. The queen adorns a military outfit akin to her soldiers, yet her beauty still shines through, gallant and powerful like a knight in old legends, but proper and dazzling like a noble lady. Gracefully, she hops back onto her horse, and the two exhausted survivors are infatuated by her intoxicating smile of solace. I'm glad the ring worked, she said, her voice heavenly. Now let's hurry and take your friends back to shelter.